If you were elected, how would you change Hastings?
I would want to change Hastings to make it more prosperous, basically. Some particular things that need doing, transport infrastructure, to create more jobs, better quality jobs, and education skills as well, kind of improving schools and academies, and better funding for the college in particular, which I think has got big problems at the moment in terms of recruiting enough staff. So it's about education skills and transport infrastructure in particular, housing as well. I think lack of affordable housing, we need more. We need to get both councils building council housing again, which at the moment they're not funded to do, but hopefully they will do if we get a Labour government.
Okay. What makes you different to the other candidates?
Because I'm a Labour candidate. I think we believe in kind of just more radical policies. We've got a much more radical manifesto. In terms of as an individual, I think it's because I've lived here for 20 years, I've been leader of the council for 4 years, I know Hastings and Rye very well, and I've got a kind of track record of delivering good things and of knowing the problems here.
Should we pay for the NHS?
Yes. We need to pay a lot more for the NHS, basically. I mean, it's been underfunded for a long time and the services have been cut. We need to spend a great deal more on it.
What do you plan to do about homelessness?
Well, that comes back to that. I mentioned housing just now, and I think that's primarily about Labour's commitment to building 1 million extra council homes. I'd want to see as many of those as possible here in Hastings and Rye, because the problem at the moment is that the council, for example, at the moment has to house people emergency priority homeless, and they're just staying there because there is no housing for people to go into. There is no affordable housing. So it is primarily about making affordable housing available for homeless people to live in.
What's your opinion on Brexit?
My opinion on Brexit is I was always in favour of Remain, and I've got to be honest about that and say that in the event of another referendum, which is Labour policy, I would be campaigning to Remain. The European Union has some big problems. I mean, it's an awful, messy structure, but it's better to be in it than out of it, and we need to reform it.
What do you want to do about tuition fees?
About?
Tuition fees.
Tuition fees, abolish them.
What do you think about climate change?
Climate change is the #1 biggest priority facing us. It's the most serious thing that's probably ever faced us as a species. We have to act on it now. I would like to have seen, and I've committed to try and to work towards a carbon neutral target for Hastings and Rye by 2030. I think that's achievable in Hastings and Rye because it's a relatively small carbon footprint anyway. But certainly by the end of the 2030s, which is Labour's policy, we just have to start straight away spending money to make the UK carbon neutral.
What's your opinion on the drug crisis?
Drug crisis. I think that's there are two things that are that needs to be done there to try and address that, particularly in Hastings. One is a lot more money on policing, community policing in particular, where they've got those. Well, it will give the kind of intelligence that they can gather in the community because that's just been lost, but also mental health and treatment services, which again have just been cut massively and need to be reintroduced to help those who have got drug and alcohol addiction problems to sort those out, to get off the drugs and alcohol.
Should high earners be taxed for better public services?
Yes. Will that do?
Just one last question. One final point that you would like to make is why young people should vote for you.
I think the issue of climate change, as I say, climate change I think is something that affects young people. It will affect young people much more my generation, because the real impacts of that, not to be after I'm dead, but lots of young people are going to be impacted by that. And I think Labour has a much more radical policy for dealing with climate change, and it's something that I personally have been concerned about for many years and have talked about long before it became, I hesitate to say fashionable, but long before young people brought it to the attention of politicians that are now beginning to take it seriously.
Brilliant. Peter Chowney, thank you for your elevator pitch.
All right, thank you.
We can go down now.
I was trying to count how many times we go.